Welcome to Freedom After 40, the show for Gen Xers ready to create income online, escape the 9 to 5, travel the world, and live life on your terms. Here's your host, Orville J. Parker, aka Coach. Not a guru, just a fellow Gen Xer, a few steps ahead, who guides you through the mindset shifts, money moves, and digital strategies that helped him leave the grind behind and start living free. If you're tired of feeling stuck and know there's more life to live, this show is your roadmap to building the second half comeback you deserve. Let's create, escape, travel, and live.
Hey, what's up? What's up? This your man, Orville J. Parker, aka Coach, guys. Welcome to this episode of Freedom After 40. If you are a first-time viewer, I want to thank you guys. Man, mouth is just dry. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, checking out the show. Let me get a little drink here. Hold on, guys. Sounding all out and mouth. All right. If you're a first-time viewer, I want to thank you for stopping by, checking out the show. And if you are a continuous watcher, listener, a loyal famo, all right, I want to thank you guys for your continuous support. All right, guys, today on the Freedom After 40 podcast, we're going to be talking about something that I've been thinking about, guys. It's crazy. All of us start reflecting on things at the end of one year as we prepare to enter another year. And this has been the case for me. I've been just, and it's crazy because at this time right now, like today, I'm sitting down trying to work on a project and I'm working, but I'm just constantly keep getting these ideas for content, right? I'm like, okay, well, I'll jump on and get this done. And I know that, it's messing up my focus today, but I'm a firm believer, man. Sometimes, we just need to embrace whatever it is that we're feeling at the time and be kind of obedient to it and go ahead and do what we need to do that. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was something that I have, man, my eyes wet, all right, something that I have been thinking about and really pondering. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy because the older you start to get, I don't know about other people, but with me, the older I start to get, you really start thinking about life. You really start thinking about legacy. What have you done? What kind of impact have you had on the world, man, on your family? And you start thinking about these things. But you also start, man, I'm having all kind of problems. You also start to get super aware of your timelines, all right? And I think as you get to the age that I'm at right now, you really start to understand that, you really, 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 really should be valuing your time because we don't know when our checkout date is, right? We don't know when the man upstairs is going to say, okay, it's time for you to get on out of there and come on home. We don't know when that time is going to come. So when we were younger, say in our 20s and our 30s, man, we could look across the horizon and say, yeah, I got time. Because it's normal for me to understand and think that I have time if I'm in my 20s or 30s. But as you start creeping up on them 40s and getting to them 50s, man, you start looking at things different. You're like, okay, now I think I got time. I hope I got time. But I do understand that I am in the second half of this game. And so things that I used to put off or things I used to say I want to do later, I have to start being a little bit more self-conscious about those timelines and say, okay, why not? Why not get it done now? Because literally tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so I've been thinking about my wrap-up. I usually do a wrap-up. Honestly, guys, for the last couple of months of the year, I'm just thinking about the year, right? And so for about 30 days, I've been just thinking. And it's not like I sit around and just constantly think, but I am reflecting on my year. I'm reflecting on who I am as a man, who I am as a person. I'm thinking about my year. Did I win? Did I lose? What did I get accomplished? If I could change anything, what would I change? What did I learn? And I'm looking at all these different things, man. And one of the things that keeps blaring out to me is it's just really focusing on living. All right. Focus on living the life that you want. And I think about, just over the years, how many people I've come across who weren't happy with their lives, man. They weren't happy with their lives. They weren't happy with their jobs. They weren't happy with their relationships. They weren't happy with their health. And it's crazy because I was trying to think about this. And I said, I wonder how many people are happy versus to unhappy with their life. If you took them away from their spouses, their kids, or their husbands, or parents, whatever, and you just put them in a room, and let's say we made the room dark where we couldn't see them and identify them, and you just asked that person, are you happy about your life? And I wonder what the ratio would be. I wonder how many people would say yes, how many people would say no. One of the things that I've learned over the years as I've just been, I'm walking this journey is that you can never judge a book by its cover. All right. A lot of people who seem happy in the world are not happy, and a lot of people who seem not happy are happy. So you can't really judge a book by that cover. But one of the things you can do is you can always make an assessment of you. All right. We don't know what other people are going through, what they're thinking, what their current reality is when it comes to happiness or unhappiness. But we do have a good feel for how we feel about the topic of happiness. And like I said, as you start getting older, man, these are things that you start pondering and thinking about because most of your life is spent running a program, or I like to call a play, that somebody else put in your hands. Somebody else say, okay, Orville, look, this is what you need to do here, and this is how you need to do this, whether that's parents, teachers, you understand what I'm saying. And so when a person starts getting older, I think a person starts evaluating these decisions and their philosophies and why they do and how they doing things and stuff like that. And this is where you'll see a lot of people start to, I like to call it rewire. All right. They start to transition and they say, okay, well, look, I'm not getting any younger. So I am going to start attempting to become and do what I want to do in order for me to be able to obtain this thing that we call it, which is living the life that we want, being happy out here. And what that looks like is all dependent on the person. I really don't think it's a one size fit all. I think it's a custom question with a custom answer. And I think the only person that can answer that question truthfully for yourself is you. Because anytime somebody's looking in from the outside in, it's just opinion, man. They don't really know. They know what they think they see, but they don't really know. And that's a question that you're going to have to ask yourself. Am I living the life that I want to live? And then the second question is, and this is the thing, if your answer is no, you have to ask yourself, why not? Really think about that. How many of us have come to the conclusion that we're not happy with our lives? And then we didn't ask the next question. We didn't say, why not? Because when you think about it, man, when you think about life, as we pass through this journey, okay, we're on this journey, we pass through this, all right? There is very few things in life that you really, really, really have to do, okay? There's very few things. Because the reality is that for the majority of your life, you are the sole captain of that ship. I know we like to play the game of blaming other people and saying that I did this because of this or this because of that. I understand all that. I get it. But at the end of the day, really, you either chose or allowed things to take place in your life, and that was your sole decision. You could have changed something, and once you get to that conclusion, then I think that brings a level of freedom to you that allows you to be able to look at your life and say, okay, well, look, all right, this is my life here, and I don't like this. I like my life, but I don't like this part about my life, or I don't like my life. You get what I'm saying? And then you have to start asking yourself, what would what would my life look like if I liked it? Okay, getting some clarity on what that looks like. That could be something as simple as you saying, okay, well, look, I've been working this job for years and I don't feel fulfilled. It pays the bills, it keeps me comfortable. Sent this kids to school, whatever. Okay. But it's not me anymore. And this is a very, very big, big thing for people our age as Generation Xers. Because at this part in our life, we're starting to question things. Okay. We start to ask things. And you might be like, okay, well, look, you know, I've got past that part of my life. I took care of my responsibilities. Now, if I could create the perfect picture of what I'm doing for work, what I'm doing for a career, what would it be? All right, what would it be? And if I'm not doing that, what would it take for me to be able to do that? Now, you might be thinking that your age, at your age, it's too late to do this. It's too late to make a change. I read about a lady, and I'm a butcher because I can't remember exactly how old she was, but I know she was old. All right, and I want to say this lady was in her 60s, like going into her late 70s. All right, and that's not old in itself. It was old for what she was doing, and what she wanted to do was she wanted to become an attorney. Right, so she went back to school at the age of 60 something and got her law degree. And I think that she was a practicing attorney at the age of 70 something. So 70 something years old. So this is like a ladder change in her life. She had lived a whole career and had always wanted to become an attorney. I forgot what kind it was. But she decided, man, she decided not to die with that dream in her. And she chose instead to go against the grain, do something totally different than what the average person would have did. And she came out on the other end, accomplishing her goal. But now she lives the life that she want to live. And this is the thing about that whole living a life as you want to live. And I want you guys to really, really hear me closely. And believe me, this is me speaking to myself because I live this, right? Is that there's no better day than to start building the life you want than today. What happened yesterday doesn't matter. What happened tomorrow doesn't matter. So any day you can arise up in the morning, at night, whenever you rise, and you can say, okay, well, today's my day. I am going to start working on building the life that I want to live. All right. I'm going to work on doing that. Okay. And you can go about doing that. All you have to do is make a mental decision to do it. All right. It's that simple, guys. All you got to do is decide to do it and then get to work. Now, you might be asking yourself, is Orville saying that this is easy? No, it's not easy. Think about it. Nothing in life, when it comes to change, growth, is easy. One of my mentors, Jeff Olson, he says that what's easy to do is easy not to do. And really think about that. Like a lot of us know how to lose weight, man. It's simple. We don't need all these courses and all this stuff. We know that we just have to really, do certain things. Stay away from processed food, all them carbs, watch our portions. You understand what I'm saying? The very base thing. Jump in the gym, do some type of exercises for 30 minutes a day, and do that every day over time. We're going to lose weight, be healthier, right? So why do so many people have a problem losing weight and getting in shape? Because what's easy to do is easy not to do, okay? And a lot of it falls down to you are not in enough discomfort or pain to trigger a change in your life yet. You might want to, you might think about it, sometimes you might even hope it. But right now, if we're living our lives in a way to where we are not happy with our current life, it's not the life we want, then that's because we have not got to a level of disgust, a level of discomfort, a level of unsatisfaction that will motivate us to make a change in. And the minute we do that, we can start changing. The minute we come to that conclusion, the minute we get fed up enough, the minute we get to a point to where we're uncomfortable enough, we're in enough pain, then we will make that decision. But this is what I want to challenge you guys on. All right. For most of you guys listening to this, you're going to be Generation X, right? We're in the second quarter of our lives or the second half of our lives. Okay. You do not want to sit around and play the game of tomorrow I would do it, or a couple years from now I'll do it when this is. You don't want to play the game of, well, I'm at this age now, so it's too late for me to change. It's too late for me to go do this right here. Nah. Both of those are just extreme excuses on each side. At any given time, regardless of your time, your location, or anything, you can get up and start building the life you want. You just have to make a decision first that that's what you want to do. And then you got to have to make a decision that that's what you're going to do. And then you just sit down and start working on your life. A lot of people like to wait to New Year's, make all these New Year's resolutions. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to do all this. And it doesn't work. Why don't it work? Because it's literally mental assessment. They haven't made a real decision, come to a real crossroads in their life to where they say, okay, I'm tired of not being happy. I'm tired of settling. I'm tired of just talking the talk but not walking the walk. I'm going to get out here and change my life. And once you start exercising the discipline of taking action in a predetermined direction, then all you have to do is get out there and do that over and over again. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. And when you really look at our lives, man, our lives are not really complicated. It's not really hard to do a lot of things that we want to do. I don't care how big it looks. It's not hard if we break it down into pieces, right? And one thing I like to remember, it's a good book out there, guys. Go grab it. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He talks about that it's the daily things that we do, the daily discipline that we do each day over time that has an impact. All right. In that specific day that you're doing it, it doesn't seem like that because you're not seeing that needle move, right? Because it's just that day. But if you do that from day after day after day over time, you're going to see some change, but you're going to see some impact. Okay. You're going to see some impact. I'm a firm believer, man, that it's no reason that any of us should live the lives that we don't want to live. If we don't like our lives, then we need to get in there and change them. And it's not easy. It's not easy because, guys, when I tell you that I've been changing my life for years and I still have not got to my destination yet. I'm in the journey. I'm knee deep in the process. All right. I'm along the path, but I haven't got there. And the crazy thing, I always think about that. A lot of times we don't get to our destination in the timelines we want to, not because it was hard to do what we was trying to do. It's just that we couldn't get out the way of ourselves. Our laziness, our lack of focus, our lack of consistency, lack of discipline, right? In order to make life-changing change, in order to make consistent change, I believe that that's an inside job before it's an outside job. I believe in order to be the kind of person that's going to initiate and experience change enough to where it changes our lives, that we have to become a different person on the inside to do that. Because that's an inside job. When we look at everything around us, we have to understand that we're looking at the byproduct of how we think, what we did, the actions we took, the beliefs that we held, right? And when we look around, if we don't like what we see, that picture that we see, then we need to change it. But you can't change the effect. You have to change the cause, right? So you have to change how you think, how you believe, how you take action, your philosophies about life. And then you have to jump in the game on a day-by-day basis and execute and take action towards whatever outcome or direction that you're trying to get to. All right? Now, remember, you can live the life you want. And I think that you should live the life you want. But you're going to have to understand that in order to do that, you're going to have to get out there and become the person that you need to become to live that life. And then you're going to have to do what needs to be done in order for you to live it. Okay? Makes sense? Well, guys, we still got, at this point, we still got a month out from January the 1st. Okay? We're actually still in November, right? We still got a month and a few days. And I'm a firm believer into launching yourself into the new year, not just going into the new year. So what I'm going to challenge you guys to do is I'm going to challenge you to do just like I'm doing. Start right now. Start working on self right now. Start working on getting clarity about the life you want to live and what that looks like. Start putting your plan together. Take action on your plan soon. Use the wrap up of this last year as momentum to launch you into next year. Okay? Orville J. Parker, aka Coach. I'll catch you guys on the next video. God bless.
Thanks for tuning in to Freedom After 40, where it's never too late to build something new. If today's episode hit home, do me a favor and share it with a fellow Gen Xer who's ready to make their move. And don't forget to grab your free Freedom Blueprint at LearnDigitalToday.com. It's the first step to designing your new life. Until next time, keep building, keep dreaming, and remember, freedom isn't a fantasy, it's a plan.